As I'm sure you are aware, LSRP on San Andreas multiplayer has closed down and the team are now working on a brand new server on GTA 5. They have provided a lot of sneak peeks of the features and documentation on the progression of the server. That all stopped in March 2022. Since March, there has been no public announcements or updates on where they are currently with the server. A lot of the team, including admins and testers, have been replying to people who have questioned the progress of how it's going. As of today, the only thing we know is that the owner of the server, M. Martin, has been away for quite some time, and this could affect the development of the server heavily. The server launch has been delayed a total of 3 times, with the original date being in summer 2021. There have been multiple reasons for the delays, such as personal issues with the staff, and the development being slower than they originally expected. On September the 10th, 2021, a Patreon was launched on the behalf of the new server, in which the money was going to be used for, quote, infrastructure and licensing costs that we would otherwise have to pay from our own pockets, quote. There are 3 membership levels, the smallest being $5 and the highest being $19. Over the course of the 10 months this Patreon has been active, it is estimated that a minimum total of $6,000 has been donated to help with these costs. There have been hundreds of people who have donated, and there are still monthly donations to this day. I reached out to a few members of the LSRP community who have been long-term players to see their views on the upcoming server and how progress is going with the development. First person I reached out to was a person called Scorpion, who was more than willing to answer a few questions. I first asked him how he became a part of the LSRP community and a little of his background. He's been playing since 2015, in which he went on to join the SASD, which was from 2016 to 2019. He was an avid donator to the server, as he saw all the features a donator received was worth it, plus he saw the donations as an investment into the server he loved to play a lot. I then went on to asking him if he's donated to the Patreon that was created to help fund the development of the server. He says, I strongly considered it last May as the summer was approaching and the rumours of the server coming out later that summer were sparked up throughout the community, but he sort of had a gut feeling that something wasn't right. He decided to hold off until an eventual beta test phase was to roll through, which in fact never happened. Looking back at it now, he said it was the smart thing to do, as there hasn't been any updates on the Patreon in roughly half a year. He then proceeds to send this image in which you can see there hasn't been any updates on the Patreon that people have been paying a lot for, and if you remember, it was earning hundreds of dollars at the time. The last update wasn't necessarily a big update, and that was a long time ago. I asked him what are his thoughts on the current and situation progress of the server. I said there's been a lot of, from what I've seen, speculation of this being a possible scam, especially with M. Martin seeming to have just vanished out of thin air and not providing any updates. He responded saying up until just a few weeks ago he was still a believer in the development of the server and always questioned players who doubled the management's ability to pull it off. But with M. Martin's first claiming that he got robbed of his equipment, then him going on long vacations and then going to concerts, it's becoming more of a guessing game of what M. Martin is doing every day rather than focusing on the tasks at hand, which is the development of the server and the welfare of the so-called community that remains. He sent an image showing a list of M. Martin's recent messages on the Discord LSRP server. He stated on the 10th of June that updates on the status of the development will be given next Sunday, meaning the 19th of June. Obviously, we're way past that already, and he keeps making promises upon promises which he can't deliver upon. At the time of this recording, it is the 29th of June, and there is still no public updates. The final thing I asked him was if the server was to launch in the next few months, or recently, or maybe in years, would he still play the server, or would the whole situation kind of change his mind and put him off the server? He responded saying that he'd definitely give the server a try, as he's still in the SD Discord and would be a member at launch, but given how the management has handled the situation and the lack of transparency, he would definitely think twice before considering donating to the potential server, if it were to release, of course. He went on to say he's going to keep questioning the choices and way of handling the matter until the management finally decides to break bread with the entire community and settle on a release date that they can truly deliver upon, unlike the countless delayed release dates that have flopped. After I did this text interview with Scorpion, I checked the LSRP Discord server a few days later, and I was genuinely surprised to see there was an actual somewhat update. M. Martin seemed to have come back. He seemed to have provided us with a little update of the current timeline. As you can see now on the screen, there's a timeline from the 27th of June up until the 31st of July. As you can see on the 27th and 28th of June, the Patreon has shut down. So from the release of this video, there would be no longer a Patreon, or there shouldn't be no longer a Patreon. It goes on to say that there's going to be dev fixes and testing and feature development finales and bug fixing and testing finales, deployment, and a potential release date, or a release date announcement. So the release date announcement shows it's going to be on the 13th of July, and there's a potential release date on the 31st of July, but of course, like the others, that could easily be delayed. I did try my best to message as much staff as possible to get their side of the story. Out of all the staff, only one replied. The person that replied is called Betu Abatu. He agreed to have an interview with me, which was very nice of him. He is a senior admin for LSRP. He's been in the team for around 2 years. He says it's a great experience. He's helped out a lot of people, which gives him great joy and motivation to continue doing better. And so far it's been extremely fun, which is amazing to see for someone who's part of staff. I did ask him if he's able to provide any updates on the server or how much there is left to complete before a possible launch. He goes on to say that there's not much he can unfortunately say that the management and development team hasn't already said. It's not his place to give updates on behalf of the server, as he's only an admin. I asked, because he's an admin, has he been involved with the testing of the server, and if so, how stable are the current implemented features, just to get a gist of how stable the current version of the server is. He said both administrators and testers are responsible to help out with the testing of the server features, which is great, so we know that a lot of staff are helping out in testing. He personally has helped out with the testing, and most features are pretty stable and nicely done, thanks to LSRP Development's team. I did mention that it's public knowledge that M. Martin is currently away. Now keep in mind this interview was done before he came back, so he was away for quite some time then. He said there is a meeting this Sunday, which was the Sunday just gone from recording this, and M. Martin would be present there, which he was. He says more updates will follow up after that, which, as we saw beforehand, there was an update. I wanted to know where the money for the Patreon was going, since, as you saw at the beginning of this video, the Patreon has earned quite a lot of money over the course of being public. I did ask if the staff get paid, and is it being purely invested into the server. He goes on to say that the money is used to fund the infrastructure of the server and staff do not get paid. Now unfortunately, that's all the updates I can find for LSRP. To this day, the only recent update that we've just got is the kind of roadmap in which there may be a release date at the end of July, but like I said before, that could be delayed. It could be another few months, it could be another few years, we don't know. Is it even going to be released? There seems to be a lot of people working on this project, and For LSRP's sakes and for the community's sakes, I really want this to launch. And to LSRP and any staff watching this video, this is not an attack towards LSRP. This is not me saying that M. Martin is a scammer. This is not me saying that every person working on LSRP is in it for the money or things like that. I'm genuinely wanting LSRP to work out. And if it works out, I'm sure a lot of people will play and love it. But just a quick message to M. Martin if you watch this. Transparency is key. Keep the updates weekly or maybe even 2 weeks. Just some kind of communication would be great. There's a lot of people that are watching this server and waiting for its release and even spending money to fund the server. But they're wondering what's happening, and so is everyone else.